Well, hello, Stacy Murphy here. Hello, Stacy Murphy here. The most valuable person in the room. It is not the one solving today's problem. It's the one helping everybody remember what's possible beyond their current viewpoint, beyond their current limitations, beyond their current imagination. And most organizations, business organizations, not for profit organizations, executive teams, they have accountants, they have attorneys, they have consultants, they have coaches, they have board members, they have advisors helping them organize what already exists or what they're moving towards. But who is helping them see what's beyond what they can currently imagine? What wants to emerge next? Who sees what wants to emerge next? And so this role is the spiritual advisor, and more teams are hiring a spiritual advisor. Now, most commonly, when people talk about a spiritual advisor, there is a little bit of resistance that sometimes comes up among the team. What does that mean? Are we going to start to talk about religion, all of those aspects? The other common misconception that I hear is that, are we going to talk about fortune telling and psychics and gurus and put them on a pedestal? That's absolutely not what a spiritual advisor is. So the grandest potential of all that wants to emerge through your business, through your organization, and through your team, that is what the spiritual advisor has in focus and allows to emerge. So the way I think about it is this, that we are in the middle of a grand awakening, and it's a giant wave that's moving through consciousness, through everybody. And you've been noticing more and more of the people in your life are starting to wake up to what's possible here, and that possibly this reality is a little bit more of an illusion than we realize, and maybe even a simulation, and that reality is more malleable than we believe. And then what does that mean for your business, for your entire team? It does not mean that you need to leave corporate world because corporations are somehow evil. That is a misconception as well. That is just an idea, a thought form. It doesn't have to be true. So a spiritual advisor who can essentially help people with that process of their own awakening. Everybody has these gifts. Everybody has the gift to tap into other potentials. Everybody has the gifts of telepathy, of different ways of engaging with other intelligences here on the planet. And so a spiritual advisor is somebody who can help do this as a collective, as a team, help the team do this together for the grandest potential of the business and for all of the individuals that are there. It's like a fractal. The business is a seed in itself and grows and emerges, and every individual within the team is also a seed that is growing and emerging. And so a spiritual advisor can help people restore balance, align mission and vision together, and help through some of those strange moments where things don't seem to make sense on a logical level. So why does this matter? Well, I've mentioned a couple of reasons why this matters, because there is a grand awakening that is happening, and people say that everything is speeding up. Have you noticed people talking about acceleration? And they even talk about how the speed of change is accelerating, that we have exponential growth happening. Well, what's actually happening is that people are awakening to their human potential, to the potentials around them. And so things look like they're speeding up because the amount of potentials are increasing. Technology seems to be increasing in speed because we're seeing more of what's possible. It's actually consciousness is moving rapidly. And that is speeding up everything in its wake, because consciousness moves energy into form. And so everything that we're experiencing here in the physical world is because this wave of consciousness is growing and expanding, and it's making everything appear to accelerate. The other thing in this acceleration is that as people awaken to what's possible, they start to notice that everything, time and space, if we really embrace time and space as an illusion, that we get to experience time and space because it's a way to help us see our growth. We chose time and space as a way to show ourselves that we're growing and expanding. So when people start to realize that time and space is an illusion, and they start to notice this in business, what happens is that every potential, you start to notice that everything exists all at once, that there are so many potentials, there are so many different directions to go. This can create some sense of overwhelm, of there's never enough time, there's never enough money, there's never enough whatever to try all the different potentials and possibilities. And so when you start to really know that everything is available now, the only question is really what is relevant for you and your team in this moment, because it's really a signal to noise ratio. There will always be every channel on the radio station, but you need to find the tuner that basically decides, like, this, if you're going to focus on this channel, let me help you focus on that channel, let me help you align to that channel. So that's the role of the spiritual advisor. And they're essentially doing a lot of different things at once. They're doing some energy work, they're doing some focus work with you, they're helping you notice where your intentions are, and helping you notice when your belief system isn't aligned with what the grandest potential is. And so let's say, just look at a couple of things in business. So what is the difference between strategy and vision? And so for so long, people basically put together, this is a mission for our organization or our corporation and our team, and then this is our vision for where we're going, and then this is the strategy that's going to get us from A to B. And Einstein said it best when he said, logic is limited. Logic can get you from A to B, but imagination is unlimited. And so when you focus on strategy, you're really focusing on a very tiny part of your human ability, the part of you that logics. Your brain is a great predictive mechanism, but it is not great at focusing on the vastest potential. That is where your heart space comes in. This is where your spiritual awakening comes in, and tuning to that, finding the coherence effect among your team, among the hearts of the people on your team. And what's interesting is you may already have understood that distinction between vision and strategy, that vision is very much the heart space and strategy is very much the logic space, and that you might have a belief system that you need logic to get where you're going. And that is absolutely false. That is absolutely false. It is a belief system that you have bought into because it is predictable, it is linear, and so it makes sense to your logical mind, and so you buy into it every time. So what's more powerful than strategy is to know that your vision, like a seed. So when there is a seed of a tomato plant, a lettuce plant, a kale plant, whatever that seed is, it inside of that seed has the entire existence of being the next generation plant, and even giving seeds to the next generation. It has everything it needs. It has the entire roadmap, but it's not a roadmap in the way that strategy thinks of roadmap. It is more about just a biological instinct that just is. It is isness. And so your vision is actually a memory. You think of your vision as a future roadmap, but it is absolutely not that. It is a memory of you experiencing the vision of your business from if you really tune in to your heart, and if you really followed your heart in the creation of that vision, which is part of what a spiritual advisor can help you do. Your vision is actually a memory of what is already done, and you just get to enjoy the ride with your business. And that is not about strategy. That is about enjoying playing with each other, enjoying engaging in the world in the way that you want to engage, enjoying the conversations that you're going to have along the way, enjoying the benefit to all of the people in your business, and everybody that's touched by your business. You get to enjoy that whole process. So that is what a very good vision statement is. It is actually a memory that it is done already, and you get to relax. So that's part of what a spiritual advisor helps to do, is to relax into that vision. Now, the other thing a spiritual advisor really helps with is what is trying to emerge through the team. So often we we try to shove square pegs into round holes. And so it's important to align everybody into the mission and the vision. And so this is a process where you have to know that you have to people might be there for different reasons, and that's okay. They're all there for their own reason. And the business flourishes, the organization, the corporation, the not for profit team, whatever it is, it flourishes actually when each individual knows for themselves why it's so meaningful for them, not for the whole. They need to know it for them. And so allowing that to be present within a business is so important because so often there is in the hierarchy of here is the executive team, here is the management team, here is the people who get the work done. In that hierarchy, there is the idea that you have to buy into the larger mission, hook, line, and sinker, and you have to breathe it as if it's a separate mission outside of your own. And that will lead to really challenging situations where people feel like they're not in alignment. Their heart is not, they're not at their best. They're not at their peak. They're not feeling into their grandest human potential. And it can look really scary to give everybody their sovereignty of their own desires of what they would like to see happen through this business. It can look scary because it looks like it's going to be chaotic, but there is a way to hold that space so that it is absolutely not only chaotic, but that it builds more coherence and builds more potential. And you'll see more synchronicities and more quantum leaps in reality, where something that looked like it should have been linear all of a sudden is not linear at all, happens in a blink of an eye because you've allowed your entire team to be sovereign and to know why they're present in that team. They're present in that mission for themselves, and it's going to make the entire business stronger. The growth is going to be organic in a way that is exponential, because that's really, when we talk about exponential growth, really what's happening is nature is the original open source technology. It connects. DNA blends and breathes together and creates and creates and creates. And each one of those plants has its own sovereignty that produces an entire ecosystem. And so that's what you want for your business. So that's another reason why the spiritual advisor is so critical these days, because as more and more people are awakening to their potential, they're tuning into more intelligences. You want that human potential in your corporation, in your executive team, in your world. You want them firing fully from their heart, because what's possible is beyond your imagination. It's always a win-win-win when there is coherence among the team, and that coherence only happens when individuals feel coherent with their own desires, with their own spiritual path. So that's another piece that the spiritual advisor helps to do. And the biggest thing I would say I have noticed as an advisor to founders, teams, is people are suspicious when things are too easy. And they also are afraid of things like, when is the other shoe going to drop? Or they make decisions out of risk assessment because they're afraid of something that might happen at a future date if they don't make a decision now. And the other pieces, there's so many ways that fear can creep in. And so where are you making decisions from fear, and where are you making decisions from possibility? The other big place that this happens is that if you are creating a mission and a vision statement, if you are talking about your mission and vision as solving the world's problems, that is coming from a place of fear. And I'm going to be really loving here with you on this one, because this is something that is rampant as a thought form in our culture, is that those people over there need our help, and we're going to come and help them, and we're going to grandiose our vision by saying we are helping all of these people do amazing things. So Yes, you are serving people. Yes, you are providing services, you are providing products, you are providing joy, you're providing playtime for them, you're providing connection for them, you're providing all kinds of things with your mission and your vision. But if you think you're doing it because you're going to save anybody, you are going to come up against some serious challenges in your business model, in the growth of where it goes. You're going to run into some interesting brick walls. When you realize that you're doing this out of the love of your heart because this is fun, and there is an aspect of you that is exchanging your unique gift in the world for something else, when you come from a place of possibility, yes, you might really help a lot of people, but it's going to look a lot different than you think. And it's going to feel a lot different than you think. It's going to feel like you're working together with them. It's going to feel like a coherent win win win. I have watched so many times people that have been underestimated play critical roles in the emergence of something beautiful. I'm speaking about autistic non-speakers having an amazing influence on an outcome when everybody thinks that we're here to help them conform to our reality, and then I watch as they create the most wonderful situation for everybody out of joy. So this goes for nature as well. When we think we are saving the planet, the solutions that we come up with are not necessarily the solutions that are in partnership with the intelligence of the planet. And so a spiritual advisor can help ground the intelligence of the whales into your business, can help ground the intelligence of the forest into your business in a way that you know you are partnered, instead of thinking that you have to somehow save the planet, which is it's a fear-based idea. It's a fear-based idea that is rampant in our culture. All right. So these are some of the things that a spiritual advisor really helps with. And then, you know, this leads to, what is that future that you are envisioning, that you're imagining? So often people look backwards without realizing it. Like, they'll say, I built this business because as a child, I didn't feel heard. And now I want every child to feel heard. That is an aspect of you that is looking backwards and trying to fix a problem. Now, there might be, once you recognize that you you really appreciate everybody's voices. So there's a distinct difference in focusing on the future that you want, which is, you know what? I want to live in a future where I want to live in a world, maybe not a future, a here and now, where I am hearing the voices of everything around me, the birds, the whales, the non-speakers, I want to hear all of the intelligences, and I want to partner with them. That might still come from the same memory of not feeling heard as a kid, but it comes from a memory of that being perfect. It comes from a memory of that no longer being a traumatic experience for you. So this is something that a spiritual advisor can help you do, which is tune your dial. There is so much noise in the world. There is so much noise in the world. You've experienced it. And when you have an intention, you want that intention to be a very strong signal, and you want to focus on the grandest potential. And so a spiritual advisor can notice, where is that dial misdialed? Is it dialed into guilt and shame, or is it dialed into joy and play and fun? Is it dialed into dissonance, or is it dialed into coherence? Is it dialed into disconnected, or is it dialed into connectivity and cooperation? And so this is something that is the role of the spiritual advisor. And this is the most valuable position, because you don't know the water that you're swimming in. You can't see it sometimes, right? So you need somebody to see what waters you're swimming in and to adjust and find that fine tuning for the group. The other reason is that The world, reality, if you really embrace, and you may have already done this with your spiritual awakening, if you embrace that the world is multidimensional, and if you embrace that everything is here and now, and if you embrace that this might be a simulation, and that your choices, your intentions, by choosing what frequency you want to be on, choosing what quality you want to focus on, choosing what things mean to you, that these things can shift physical reality in powerful ways all around you. It can shift things in a moment. So, give you an example. So, anything can have any meaning. This coffee mug here, one person might look at this coffee mug and they might acknowledge that this looks handcrafted, and they might acknowledge that I really love handcrafted coffee mugs. It reminds me of my friend who made me a coffee mug, and oh, I should call that friend. So somebody could look at this coffee mug and make a bunch of meaning out of it. And then and that's all beneficial, positive meaning of, oh, I love handcrafted things, and my friend makes handcrafted mugs, and wow, I love the beauty of that, and I love the subtlety of the pattern. Another person could look at this mug and say, that mug reminds me of the mug that my dad threw at my mom's head, and it hurt her deeply, and life was never the same. And all of a sudden, this mug has a totally different a different feeling to it. And you're making meaning out of everything in your reality all around you all the time. And guess what? Reality is always going to show you a smorgasbord. It's going to show you a little bit of everything. It is up to you to make that meaning. And I've watched how teams can look at the same situation and see it completely different. One team can say, oh my goodness, we only have 6 months worth of revenue left. And so we got to make some cuts. We got to change some things up. We got to drastically cut back, and we got to shift. And another team can look at that same situation, and they can say, you know what, something magical is about to happen. I don't know what, but wow, I'm feeling really creative around this. This is a challenge that I don't know that I've ever come up against. And I, I don't know, like, how creative can we get about this? How much fun can we have with this challenge? Like, who here, some organizations might think they need to make a top-down decision. So we only have 6 months of revenue, so let's cut everything, and let's make some random cuts. Another organization might look at that and say, you know what? I wonder what would happen if we went to the team and we said, we think there might be another way to do business. This is where we are right now. Let's have a day of creativity where we come up with different ways of looking at this, different ways of understanding this. And the thing is that action is at the end of a long chain of what's possible. The potential is way over here in consciousness. The potential is in seeing it from a different vantage point. The potential is in seeing possibilities, seeing the future you want to see. So the person who is seeing the 6 months of revenue and we got to make cuts is only seeing the diminishment. They're not seeing the expansion. They're focused on what they don't want. And so they're making choices. They're having emotions of like, ooh, scary, worry, anxiety, all of those things. And then those are coming into thoughts, which are, we should make some cuts because this is scary. And then that's turning into action, which is laying people off or whatever. And sometimes that is what happens, right? Totally valid that maybe within a certain potential, you might feel into all of the potentials of this scenario, and you might legitimately come up and say, you know what? What would be better is if we did business this other way, or we shifted gears, and that means that this part of the team needs to move on to something else. And maybe you just never know. That other part of the team may have a different idea of what they want to do. And so acknowledging that the grandest potential for all is truly the grandest potential for all. And that sometimes the next role for that person who is getting laid off, it's not a cut. is this person is opening to a different potential in their world, and there is another thing waiting for them. So you have to know the difference between when you're making decisions from the fear and the anxiety, or when you're making decisions from truly everybody coming together in coherence and saying, you know what, I've been thinking about going and writing a book, and or I've been thinking about starting my own business in X, Y, and Z, or you know what, I've been thinking about a partner corporation to what we're doing right now that I think would be really beneficial, and maybe we can work out a deal where I'm going to start this business and we work together. There's so many possibilities in the field, and we have been trained to look at business from a linear perspective, from a strategic perspective that takes action based on risk and fear and anxiety of what's coming versus the grandest potential. So this is where a spiritual advisor can be really beneficial. There is so much that wants to emerge from you. There's so much that wants to emerge from everybody on your team, that wants to emerge from the business that you started in the first place. And so being able to see potential is the most valuable thing you can do, because everything else is filtered after that. Everything else comes from that. You can't take a single action until you've lined up your belief system that something even more magical is happening. Something even more wonderful than you can imagine is happening. Something is going to surprise and delight you beyond, and that you get to choose that and know that you are creating this reality with everybody on your team. And if you truly knew how taken care of you were from a spiritual perspective, from all of your helpers, from all of your spiritual awakening, if you truly knew how taken care of you were, you would see this as a magic carpet ride that you're riding on with your executive team. And you would choose the people to join you on this adventure who knew that it was a magic carpet ride and who could see the possibilities and potentials that are right there for you. All right, so Stacey Murphy here. And the reason why I wanted to make this video is that I wanted to put to words what I've been doing for corporations, for executive teams, for founders. And this is just me off the cuff, and I'm offering my services more publicly now to more people. And I wanted to find a way to put words to what it is that I've been doing and the value that I've been sharing with people. And there's multiple things that I've helped different executive teams do. So we've raised millions of dollars for different organizations. Recently, I connected a inventor with a new energy solution that is going to change the world because it's so simple and it just generates its own energy. And we connected him with a congressman in Ohio, and we're talking about all the AI data centers to be with this new technology. I've been working with different organizations connecting dots, and where they want to see expansion, they're like, I don't know how, but we want to do what we're doing and have it be a new network television show. And then I connect them right to the television network show that wants to expand into this territory, and it's a perfect match. So the things that you want, there's a reason you want them. There's a perfect match. You couldn't have the desire without the match being out there. So I helped another woman who she was the founder of a beauty product. And she had $2 million worth of this, and she was about to lose her home because she had taken out a bunch of money to create the blends and to create the packaging. And then she thought she needed everything to market this thing. She thought she needed a celebrity endorsement. She thought she needed a website and all these different things. Through a little bit of time in a quantum attunement session, we found the version that was done. We found the vision of it done. And within a couple of weeks, she had sold her entire product line to a golf course that then wanted to have that at every golf course. So she didn't have to go out and do all the things that she thought she had to do. She only had to tune into the potential of it just being done. I've had people having complete life changes. So I wanted to put some of this into words. And so I would love to know, what questions do you have about what a spiritual advisor is? What kinds of um, spiritual advisors have you worked with, if any, and what have they helped you do? Um, I would love to hear from your perspective the value of this in your business, because for me, this is the only way to do business these days. Logic is so limited. Logic is so limited. We treat logic like it is a god. We treat our brain as if it is the god that is in charge of everything. But there is 99% of the things within this space is filled with information, with frequencies that you can tap into and potentials that you can tap into. And you've only tapped into less than 1% with your five senses. When you open up your entire energy field and you allow yourself to receive all that's available, you become a bigger conduit. And that's what I do as a spiritual advisor. Is I am the grandest channel for the energy that wants to flow through, and I can hold the frequency of it until you know, and then you start to see it for yourself. And that's where it gets powerful. So the spiritual advisor, it's not a guru. I'm not a psychic where I tell you the future. That there's so many potentials. There's so many potentials. There's not one future. There is so many potentials. And so I'm helping you open to your grandest potential and to help you know the frequency of it and to know that it's safe to want the things you want, to know that you can have the things that you want, to know that they are present here and now for you. And so that is my joy in this world. And I know it brings so much value to so many people. So I'm excited to share more of this with the world. And I'm starting to create the website. So I was hoping that this could help me do that. So thank you for being here and take care and reach out, Stacy@stacy.earth, if this is of benefit to you and you would like to work together. All right, take care.